US President Biden and China's Xi Jinping meet, delivering messages seemingly intended for Donald Trump, president-elect. When President Biden and China's leader Xi Jinping met on Saturday in Peru, they spoke directly to each other for perhaps the last time about a fierce superpower rivalry that Biden has sought to keep from spiraling into open conflict. But both men also seem to be addressing someone not in the room, that's Donald J. Trump, who has promised to take a more aggressive approach to Beijing while he becomes president again in January. Xi Jinping, in his opening remarks, offered what appeared to be a stern warning as US-China relations enter a new period of uncertainty after the American election. He said, "Make the wise choice." This is what he said in a conference call at the hotel in Lima, Peru, where the Chinese delegation was staying. He said, "Keep exploring the right way for two major countries to get along well with each other." In his own opening comments, Biden seemed to try to make the case for maintaining a relationship with Beijing, as Trump talks about imposing more tariffs on China and picks hardliners for top administration posts. These conversations prevent miscalculations, and they ensure the competition between our two countries will not veer into conflict. Be competition, not conflict, he said. That's our responsibility. And over the last 4 years, I think we've proven it's possible to have this relationship, Biden said. But even as Biden's session with Xi Jinping during the gathering of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum began with conciliatory words, it also gave the president a final chance to challenge the Chinese leader directly on some of the many issues that divide the two countries. As Biden and his vision for the world heads for the exits, China's recent action suggests that it has little interest in placating Washington. American officials have expressed alarm over China's increasingly close relationship with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Chinese hackers were recently accused of breaking into the American telecommunications system and obtaining information from the phones of US officials. Beijing has also continued to flex its muscle in Asia, with US officials voicing growing concerns about China's military exercises around Taiwan and its broader aggression in the contested South China Sea. Before the meeting with Xi Jinping, Biden's aide said he planned to confront the Chinese leader over China's threats against Taiwan, its human rights violations, and support for Russia in Putin's war in Ukraine. He also planned to urge Xi Jinping to discourage North Korea from continuing to support Russia in that conflict. Also, Biden intended to discuss the U.S. goal of transforming a Kenya-led and largely U.S.-funded security mission in Haiti to combat gangs into a formal UN peacekeeping mission, which would provide more money and personnel. China has expressed opposition to such a shift. It was unclear how receptive Xi Jinping would be to any of Biden's entreaties, with the clock quickly winding down on his presidency. China is now focused on preparing for the return of Trump as president, who has threatened to punish Beijing with 60% tariffs on its exported goods. Trump has also chosen Senator Marco Rubio, Republican of Florida, who has taken a hard line on China, as his nominee for Secretary of State. The Biden administration in many ways continued the tough approach towards Beijing initiated by the first Trump administration, including on tariffs, while adding restrictions intended to slow the Chinese military's technological advances. Biden top aide said that countering Beijing, particularly around the Taiwan Strait, must be a continued priority for the incoming Trump administration. Given the size of the risk, that's something that needs to be at the top of the agenda, Jake Sullivan, Biden's national security advisor, said. The incoming administration is going to have to focus on that right out of the gate, just as we'd had to focus on all that all along. For the past year, Biden administration tried to smooth tensions with China after the relationship hit a low over Chinese spy balloons that drifted over the U.S. and was ordered to be shot down by the Biden administration. The two nations also tangled after Biden twice called Mr. Xi a dictator last year, the White House pointed to its subtle diplomacy and efforts to open lines of communication as important steps in avoiding a spiral in relations. Now, Washington has warned that such projects could be used by China's military in the future and potentially bring national security risks. Biden often cited his long, complicated relationship with Xi Jinping as evidence of his diplomatic skills. He often speaks of getting to know Xi Jinping when he was the vice president in the administration of President Obama. After returning to the White House from China in 2011, Biden told his aides that, "I think we've got our hands full with this guy." But soon the relationship with Xi Jinping will no longer be Biden's responsibility to manage. Of course, it'll be Trump's. This is from New York Times on DNYUZ. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.